Welcome to Table for 92. Element number 40, zirconium. It's number 40 because it has exactly 40 protons within its nucleus. For zirconium, we're cooking up some of the best street food in the world, doner kebab. Now, zirconium is not found in foods really. There are some instances, but it's pretty much negligible, and zirconium has no known biological role in the human body. Zirconium, though, was first discovered in Berlin, Germany, and doner kebab, in its modern variation, was created by Turkish immigrants to Berlin in the 1970s, and is arguably the best street food ever created. I lived in Germany for a while. I was an exchange student there in high school, and doner kebab was one of those things German people couldn't believe I had never heard of before. I mean, doner kebab is so popular in Germany and the rest of Europe as well. I'm sure people just assumed it's like that everywhere. Doner was brought to Germany in the aftermath of World War II, where West Germany needed men for the rebuilding of the country's infrastructure. That had been pretty much wiped out during the war, and so invited Gastarbeiters, or guest workers, from Italy, Greece, and especially Turkey to come to Germany and work temporarily. Well, a lot of them ended up staying, and that's where we get doner from. There was already a long tradition of the kebab in Turkey and the Ottoman Empire that preceded it, but back then the kebab would have been served on top of rice with vegetables. It was a Turkish restaurateur that created the first doner kebab, serving it on warm pita bread in West Berlin. Now, there are more kebab shops in Berlin than Istanbul. So before I jump into the absolutely fascinating zirconium, I gotta start the lamb over the hot coals. You can get doner made with beef, veal, and chicken now, but lamb is definitely more traditional. So first you take a boneless leg of lamb and slice into equal sized pieces with a slicer, if you have one, which I've already done here. To the lamb slices, add olive oil, lemon juice, salt, black pepper, paprika, cayenne, coriander, cumin, garlic powder, oregano, and turmeric, and mix well until all those spices are evenly spread through the slices of lamb. Now you have to place the slices on a spit. Make sure to secure them well so it doesn't just fall apart. Then I'm gonna put it over the hot coals. In Germany, doner kebab is almost always on a vertical rotisserie, but I don't have one of those. But you know, it's in the same tradition, however. After all, doner kebab roughly translates to spinning meat from Turkish. This should take like about 90 minutes till it's done and nice and caramelized on the outside. So while the lamb is cooking, let's start the pita bread so it's got time to rise. I'm gonna take 1 cup warm water, 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast, and 1 tablespoon of sugar to the mixing bowl. And I'm gonna let that sit until it kind of looks like a, cappuccino, kind of frothy. Then add 3 cups of bread flour and a pinch of salt and mix until it becomes elastic, about 10 minutes. Add some olive oil to the bowl so the dough doesn't stick, and cover it. Leave it in a warm place until it doubles in size. When you hear zirconium, you probably think artificial diamonds, but that's not totally accurate. Yes, cubic zirconia is heavily used as a substitute for diamonds, but chemically it is nowhere near being a diamond. Cubic zirconia is zirconium oxide, while diamonds are pure carbon. And cubic zirconia are nowhere near as hard as a true diamond. Diamonds are the hardest substance on the planet, a 10 on the Mohs scale of hardness, while cubic zirconia is only an 8 or an 8.5. But I would argue that if not for cubic zirconia, most people would have never heard of zirconium, and that's a real shame because zirconium is absolutely fascinating and is used in way more stuff than just fake diamonds. Zirconium itself is a metal, kind of a silvery luster to it. It's extremely resistant to corrosion and heat. For those qualities, metal zirconium is used almost exclusively in nuclear reactors. By adding tin to zirconium, you get what is called zircaloy, which stands up to uranium. So zircaloy tubing doesn't absorb the neutrons from uranium fuel and therefore doesn't become radioactive, which, would be bad. Gotta contain that radiation. But the problem is that above 900 degrees Celsius, zircaloy tubing can corrode when exposed to water, thus releasing radiation. That is exactly what happened at Fukushima and the 3 Mile Island power plants. The oxide of zirconium, zirconia, has a lot more applications. Zirconia, just like zirconium, can withstand really high heat, so it's used a lot in metallurgy, lining the inside of furnaces and anything else that's transferring molten metal. But I think for me, the most interesting thing that we're all kind of still waiting for is zirconium zirconia ceramics. Because of their high heat resistant nature, zirconia ceramics have been investigated for a while to build engines because they wouldn't need to be lubricated with oil. The reason I'm cooking up this döner is, one, it's one of the greatest street foods in the world, and two, zirconium was first discovered in Berlin, where the modern döner was invented. Martin Heinrich Klaproth, absolute legend, just a giant in the field of chemistry. He discovered a bunch of elements, the first being uranium, then zirconium, which was discovered while he was working at the Berlin Academy of Sciences. Klaproth was trying to figure out the composition of zirconia crystals when he determined there to be a new element in its configuration. But the name zirconia is an ancient one. Zircon crystals have been known for a very long time. Zirconia either comes from Arabic or Persian, the word zargon, meaning gold-like, referring to the color of the crystals. But, it wouldn't be until 1824 that Jacob Johannes Berzelius would actually isolate pure zirconium metal. One of the most important parts of zirconium is that zircon crystals, which I know totally sound like they belong in Star Wars, but are a real thing, have been dated to be some of the oldest rocks in the world. In Australia, geologists have found zircon crystals dating back to 4.374 billion years old, nearly as old as the Earth itself, showing that the Earth's crust started forming earlier than previously thought. So that's cool. Once zircon crystals form, they are really, really stable, and they preserve the radioactive isotopes within them that are important in dating methods, especially uranium-lead dating, which is one of the most important ways to date the age of the Earth. To finish off your döner kebab, add your favorite toppings. I always go alles drauf, or everything on it. So lettuce, tomato, red onion, some shredded red cabbage, some hot chili paste. Finish off with some homemade tzatziki. Döner kebab, it's really great at any time, but it's really the best at 2 a.m. So let's celebrate the Berliner discovery of zirconium with this culinary masterpiece, the döner kebab. And let us also thank zirconium for its many uses, from dating the oldest rocks to protecting nuclear power plants from radiation poisoning, and everything in between. Thanks, and see you next time. Like a smartphone uses 72, I think it's 72 elements of the 92 elements on the periodic table. So if you're watching this on your phone, just, appreciate that and hit that subscribe button.